Hey guys, I'm Combat Craig, and today we're talking about common errors that veterans make with their VA claims. I have 4 things here, and we're just going to kind of walk through them. And these are things to look out for, be aware of. And as it's a lot of information, this isn't a race. This is about you getting paid. So you want to make sure you do this right. And there's going to be double checking. And basically, it comes down to you are your own best advocate. You're the one that has everything on the line. You're the one getting paid. If you have somebody helping you like a VSO, they get paid whether you win or lose. So they're not really that invested in your claim. I'm not saying they're all bad, just the ones that I had, they all sucked. So get hands-on with your claim because this is about money. You are your own best advocate. The first common error that veterans make when they're filing a VA disability claim is not filing a fully developed claim. There's a standard claim and a fully developed claim. And as the time differences between the two aren't that big, you still want to make sure it's fully developed anyway. So that means that if you're filing a claim, you're going to have a disability or disabilities in it. And you need to understand 38 CFR. This is the law. You don't need to understand the whole thing. You just need to understand how the laws work because you're entering into a legal process. So you need a current diagnosis, current symptoms, and a nexus linking the disability you're trying to get service connected to your active duty service. It doesn't need to be when you're on active duty. You could do it as a secondary. You could also do it as a presumptive. You could also do it as an 1151 claim or a pre-existing claim. So it matters how you're trying to establish service connection and how you're going to go about it, and then, what the laws are surrounding it. It's best to understand what the actual laws are, so you understand things like the duty to assist, where that starts, where that stops. Pyramiding VA claims, that's another one. If you're filing a claim in your shoulder and you're already rated for your shoulder, and there's only one rating for it, you're filing basically a worthless claim because there's nowhere to go with it. If money is the goal here, which money is the goal. So understanding some of these basic things, they're on the first couple of pages of the CFR, and I'll put a link in the description. Definitely want to check that out. And if you want to get even fancier with it, you can check out the M21-1 adjudication manual. That's what the raters use. That's their guidelines. Kind of like there's the law, and then there's the M21-1. That's kind of like the guidelines the raters use. Policies and procedures aren't the law, but that's what they go by. Don't really know what else to say about that. The VA doesn't really care too much about the laws. They get away with all sorts of stuff. So what we're trying to do is shorten the whole process for you so you can get in and get out of there so you don't end up exposing yourself to the VA. So you get a reduction instead of an increase. That's always possible as well. If you want to learn more about the VA claims process, check out my boot camp. You can talk with me live. There's a link in the description, combatcraig.com. Every one of these things that I'm talking about require medical evidence. If you can't get it from your doctor or a VA doctor, then check out my med team. There's an email address in the description. Another common error is using medical evidence that's not relevant. So once you learn about the VA claims process, you'll learn what a current diagnosis, current symptoms, and a current nexus mean. If you haven't figured that out yet, current means 6 months to a year at the max. So you don't want to file medical evidence that you would consider medical evidence, even though it is, in most cases with the VA, it's current. Current symptoms, current diagnosis, that means 6 months to a year. Anything beyond a year, they're not even going to look at because it's not current. So file secondary claims. That's a good way to get around these kinds of things. And you really only need a current diagnosis, current symptoms, and a current nexus. And you can get that from one doctor. Go hire a doctor to fill all that stuff out for you. If you don't know where to go, check out my med team. There's an email address in the description. And then also check out my boot camp at combatcraig.com, where you can talk to me live if you want to, and I can answer basic questions like this on my live calls. I'm actually having one tonight. This is important because I got stuck on this for years. I kept seeing stuff in my medical records, and we're just only familiar with direct service connection claims. And, we're biased, right? Because we're the ones that are going to get paid. And the VA knows that. So we will look for things in our service treatment records from 30 years ago and try to use that stuff. Or we will oversubmit medical evidence, what we think is medical evidence, and it's not actually medical evidence. Keep it short and sweet. Literally go out to a doctor, have them fill out a current diagnosis, current symptoms, and a nexus. And that's all you need. Fill out a personal statement. Be careful on the personal statement. It should be very short. You're not a qualified medical doctor. Either am I. So we're laymen. So we need to speak in layman terms. So literally on your personal statement, you should write something on there like, I have a disability and it makes me go, ouch. And that's about all you can write, because the doctor does all the talking for you. Have him, write the symptoms down on a DBQ, have him do the diagnosis, have him do the nexus, and then you're just supporting your claim. That's basically like, yep, ouch. Refer to my DBQ that my doctor filled out on me. You're going to be going up against a C&P examiner from the VA. Not saying they're all bad. A lot of them are good. A lot of them are also bad. So you'll have your opinion from a doctor, and then they're going to get their own opinion. And once that happens, now you're putting this into a tie situation. You have your guy over here that you paid, their guy over there that they paid. And when it comes time for the rater to look at it, he has to consider both pieces of medical evidence. You got positive and negative. That's the kind of battle that we want to get in, because as you may not win it right out of the gate, you can higher level review that if you have everything there, and you will win it if you stay persistent. And persistence is the name of this game for sure. When you stop fighting for your benefits, that's what the VA wants you to do. Once you stop fighting for your benefits, you're going to lose them. You're going to lose your effective dates, all that kind of stuff. The VA knows what a fighter looks like. 20 years ago, you filed a claim. Now you file a claim again. That would be a supplemental if you're filing a claim for the same disability twice. And now you're going to actually have the new and relevant evidence, which is current diagnosis, current symptoms, and the nexus. And then if you're looking for an increase, you don't need the diagnosis or the nexus. You need to just work on the symptoms, if you're at 0% or something like that. If you want to learn more about the VA claims process, check out my boot camp at combatcraig.com. And it's about medical evidence. Email my med team. There's an email address in the description and on the screen. Things to look for when you prepare your VA claim. I recommend just doing it on your own. I know it's a legal process and stuff, but the help really isn't that helpful. So, if you do it yourself and you hire a doctor, he's going to probably send you a copy of the DBQ. Make sure that he has his NPI number on there, and make sure that he signed it and dated it. Just review your own medical evidence that's positive, because if the doctor doesn't write down, like he doesn't sign it or something, it's irrelevant. It's an unsigned document, and they don't have to consider it. When you're preparing your claim and you have somebody else helping you, you want to make sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed, because those are easy things to get denied for, and they're avoidable. You literally are looking for grammatical errors. If you have a VSO helping you, double check their work for sure. They get paid either way, whether you win or lose. So not a very powerful person to have in my corner. I want somebody that, knows what they're doing, and I'll pay them or something, an accredited claims agent. That's not always the case. I didn't even know you could do that until about 5 years ago. So your VSO is going to, put your packet together. You give him a power of attorney, and he could actually submit it whenever he wants. Make sure you get a VSO that will at least let you look at the entirety of your claim and check what he did for errors. Basic stuff is your name on this document. They will kick stuff back and deny it for missing names, social security numbers, things of that nature. VSOs are human. Lawyers are also human. So they make mistakes. Double check their work because you can't afford to have mistakes in your claim. If you hire a lawyer, it's the exact same thing. You're on appeal for something. You decide to lawyer up, double check their work. Make sure they dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and sign everything. And if they are hiring vocational experts for you and hiring doctors for you to fill all this stuff out, make sure you check it because you could catch one error just by scanning through everything and, hey, kick it back to the lawyer. This isn't ready to go. This isn't even signed. Those are some things that you could do while you're preparing your claim. The importance of detailed documentation for the disability you're trying to file a claim for. This one could get complicated. You may think more is better, but actually less is better than more. We're talking a current diagnosis, current symptoms, and a nexus. That's literally all you need for documentation. It's a DBQ. The nexus will be written into the DBQ, and so will the current diagnosis with the diagnostic code. That's all you need. You can also provide a personal statement. You want to fill out a personal statement, and basically you're qualified to say, ouch. Once you're going on too much longer than a paragraph, it's just not relevant. Make it easy for the VA reader. This is my disability, ouch, refer to my doctor's DBQ. That's what carries the weight. Because, at the end of the day, it's going to be your doctor going up against their doctor. And when you get in that situation and there's conflicting reports, you can win that in a higher level review. Or they may, mess with you a little bit more, and you may have to do a supplemental claim and then bounce back to HLR. But you have all the components to establish service connection. They're just pushing back on it, like, oh, you have a private doctor, we don't look at it. That happens all the time. There's a million reasons. But this is a battle between doctors. It does feel like it's a battle between you and the VA, and it is. But medical evidence is done by medical people. They're doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, and then regular MD doctors for most of it. Here's some advice on navigating the complexities of the VA system. It's a huge bureaucracy. It's actually the backup healthcare system, which is scary. Like if all the doctors quit doctoring around, everybody would be using the VA. So it's a huge bureaucracy. You want to know what your rating is before you file your claim. So I already said that you should check out 38 CFR, and you're going to be looking for things like pyramiding. If you're filing a claim for something and you're already service connected for whatever, a wrist, and then you file another claim for your wrist as well, and you can only have one rating for your wrist, for example, you're wasting your time because you're already maxed out, or they're going to call it pyramiding or something like that. Be aware of pyramiding so you don't fall into that trap. Because, we're looking at 6 months for one of these things to, go through and get adjudicated. Make sure you're going to get paid for the disability. Like if you're at 80% and you add a disability for tinnitus, is that actually going to increase you to 90? It's not at 80%. At 0, it'll increase you to 10. So, kind of think about this like a business. Make sure that you're going after claims that are going to move the needle and move you upwards towards your goal. Whatever your goal is, you get to pick that out. You should get your VA claims file and see what you have to overcome. So basically it comes down to positive and negative medical evidence. Your VA claims file will have all that stuff in there. Depending on what you said in the past, that could be considered negative medical evidence. Once you get your VA claims file, you can read that and see if it is or not. Right now, if you haven't got your VA claims file, you don't really know. You're shooting in the dark. So read the law, read your VA claims file, and it'll say on there, what your doctor's notes are from your last C&P exam, whatever they are. If they're hurting you, you want to make sure that your doctor is aware of that so he can overcome it. It's positive and negative medical evidence. Find out what's negative or looks negative, and then determine, do I need to overcome it? That's something you can bring up with your doctor. Oh yeah, this is easy to overcome, because the doctors have the power of the pen, we don't. And check out this video right here. This explains more about the VA claims process. So with that, thanks for joining me today. If you have a question, leave a comment below, like, share, subscribe this video, and I will see you in the next video.